Hello and welcome to the FilmPulse.net podcast. This is episode number 97. My name is Adam. With me today we have Kevin. How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing alright.
Today we'll be going over some of what we've been watching before getting into some news, including the Sundance 2014 lineup, as well as the Golden Globes nominations. We'll be talking about that a little bit. No feature review this week because neither of us saw The Hobbit, and we don't have any interviews lined up this week. So kind of a light week. We're getting into the holiday season, so everybody's kind of winding down.
Coasting. We're coasting.
Kind of coasting. But then we'll be going over this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand, and DVD and Blu-ray releases. Let's kick it off with some of what we've been watching. Kevin, we'll start it with you this week. What do you got?
I started off with Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa.
Ooh.
The old Alpha Papa.
Yeah.
And although I'm familiar with Coogan's character, Alan Partridge, I've never actually seen anything with Alan Partridge in it. So this was sort of my introduction. And I have to say I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
It's a good intro.
Now, it's difficult to really critique the film, not knowing the character or, any of the the TV series or anything like that, because I did see that some people were, thought it was a little lackluster because it wasn't on par with the quality that the TV series was and everything. So I don't have that to compare it against. So for me, it was just a good time. I enjoyed it, and it definitely makes me want to see more Alan Partridge.
Well, I have seen quite a number of episodes of the show, and it's a little bit different than the show. I mean, obviously it's higher quality as far as production values.
Yeah.
But the humor is a little bit different. The show is a little bit, I would maybe say it's a little bit more dry, the show. There aren't as many visual gags and things like that. And everything's just so much bigger in the movie.
Yeah.
The show is pretty much just his day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And
which you telling me that the show's more dry makes me think that I'm actually going to like the show a lot more.
I wouldn't say that I necessarily like the show more. I really enjoyed the movie because the things that I find funny in the movie are in the show, and that's mostly just the dialogue, just the hilarious things. I mean, almost everything that Alan Partridge says makes me laugh. I think he's just the funniest character.
I enjoyed his questions of the day, especially the one where he's like, "What's the worst monitor?"
I thought that just the whole plot of the film, the hostage thing and all that stuff, I wasn't too into that.
No. And I mean, I always say this though, is I'm going into this with the expectation is make me laugh. That's all you got to do. That's that's what a comedy's supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So the story, the story is sort of far-fetched and a bit ridiculous, and we've seen it before, but the comedy's there, so.
Exactly. It's hilarious. I thought it was hilarious.
And I also love the fact that they worked in the band Marillion. Just the fact that no one knew that guy was the drummer from Marillion.
The drummer from Marillion.
Oh my god. Yes, please.
Yeah, but I really like the dialogue is really fast, Alan Partridge is kind of a fast talker, and it's one of those movies where I've seen it twice, and it's each time you watch it, you pick up on these little throwaway lines that are in there that are just brilliant, and I thought it was great. But that being said, some of the visual gags I thought were really funny too. The scene where he's trying to climb out the window and it pulls his pants off. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and then he tucks his genitals, and the cop's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? That's weird. Don't do that."
Yeah.
I did, but the only thing for me, number one, it makes me want to watch, just go on a binge fest and watch everything related to Alan Partridge, which is, that's a win.
Yeah.
For the movie, but also I could see myself watching the TV series and everything, and then maybe coming back to this and
Mm-hmm.
maybe not liking it as much, or maybe seeing it as like a little bit of a letdown. But the simple fact is that it makes me want to see more Alan Partridge.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And he's just a hilarious character, and the show is extremely hard to find here in the States for some reason. I can't find it anywhere. So if
Yes.
anybody has a good way to find the show, let me know. Because,
Give it to us.
all right, I started the week off with Salinger. This is the documentary about J.D. Salinger, currently playing on Netflix.
I've heard
Um,
nothing but bad things.
yeah, it's pretty terrible. So I was mildly interested in this back when I don't remember when it came out earlier this year, and the way that they marketed this movie was like they're like acting like they're gonna crack this whole thing wide open, and we're gonna learn so much about this reclusive man,
Yeah.
and it was just such a letdown. It was this by the numbers talking head documentary, and it was just pretty boring. And it was like that the people that they talked to were just so enamored with this guy, and it's like I just don't understand what the big deal is. And all the things that they revealed in the documentary were not that big. Like oh, he's gonna actually be publishing more books in a couple years. So that, I guess, for fans of Catcher in the Rye, or maybe some of his short stories, I guess that's big news. But I don't know if that's something that the documentary actually broke. If that was the news that they broke.
Yeah, it just seems like they don't really have anything. From what
No, it just
from what you told me, it's like I already knew that stuff.
yeah. I mean, it was, I don't know. If you're really into Salinger, I mean, I guess it's a no-brainer to see this one, but just don't expect much in the way of. I thought that the production quality was pretty low. Like I was expecting a lot. I mean, this is a Weinstein film, so I was expecting it to be fairly top notch, but I was surprised at just how poor quality it looked.
Yeah. To me, the judging from the trailer, it sort of looks as though they just get a boatload of famous people to discuss how much they like
Oh,
him.
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was really odd. Like they just get these random actors like Martin Sheen to talk about him, and I'm like, why is Martin Sheen here? Like, what's the point of that? I don't even get that.
Yeah. It's just like,
And
hey,
and Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I was just like, what do these men have? Is there something I'm missing here? Do they know the guy? Like,
I
what's going
know,
on
because
here?
it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I get it. People like J.D. Salinger. I, I know, like a lot of people like him. I don't need to see or hear famous people tell me, "Oh, I really love his work." Good for you. It doesn't make a
Yeah, and the
documentary.
thing is, because the guy is somewhat reclusive, there aren't that many pictures or video of him out there. So
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 did
they
they do
just
the
kept
old
recycling the
yes,
same ones over and over again.
yes,
And I was just like, okay.
fantastic.
Yeah, so I do not recommend Salinger.
It feels like it, even though I haven't seen it, it sounds like a forced documentary. Like, hey, no one's done Salinger, let's do it.
Yeah, and I mean, he is an interesting guy, and apparently the film doesn't really paint him in the best light either. He seems like he's kind of a dick, or he was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like he completely neglected his family and his children,
Hmm.
and it's like well, I don't really care about him anymore. He seems like a total asshole. He's like so full of himself.
Sounds like a piss poor documentary to me.
Yeah, it is.
I watched In the House. This is a Francois Ozon film, which I've never really been into him, but this is also this is currently playing instantly on Netflix. And it's this pretty intriguing story where there's a young student and he's in a class with a literature professor. And literature professor Jermaine realizes that this kid has some talent. So he starts working with them, and the stuff that the kid's writing is like very personal. Like he's trying to inject himself into the lives of this his new friend that he made over the summer, and he's trying to like infiltrate their family, and it's all very wrong, like what he's writing about because he essentially wants to get into the house. He wants to replace the son. He's in love with the son's mother, and he wants to be with her, and it's just you know that this is going to end horribly. But the literature teacher decides that, oh, I got to help this kid out because he shows a lot of promise, a lot of talent. So he's sort of teaching him, how to develop his stories and how to write and all this and that. And sort of like as it's playing out, the story's continually being rewritten and it's seen from different perspectives. So all of that is changing in front of you through the visual storytelling, through the film. And
Mm.
it's very interesting. I highly recommend it. And then it gets to the point where you don't really know what's fact and fiction because they're constantly rewriting or changing, um, either changing the perspective or changing the characters' reasonings for what they're doing, and it's just constantly shifting, and you're not really sure what's real and what's not, and what's real to who, and this and that. And at one point, the literature teacher like actually comes in contact with the parents that he's been reading about because he keeps getting these sections of the stories as homework assignments. So like every couple days or so, he gets a new installment. And he's obsessed with the story and he wants to see where it's going, not really realizing that he's actually affecting real life people. So when he actually sees the people, you know, of course he's a little bit uneasy and he doesn't want to meet them because to him they're just characters in a story. They're not real people. So he's not really concerned with how, well, what the young kid's doing to this family's life, like how it's actually going to affect them because he doesn't really see them as real people. He just sees them as characters. And then he sort of gets thrust into it. And it's just, a lot of ramifications from that. It's very interesting just to see how it's done. It's done very, very well. Sort of the visual aspects of telling this story really
Hmm.
sucks you in.
I'm sold.
Yeah, you could definitely, I think you'll love this.
I'm definitely sold. I saw a film called Seduced and Abandoned. This is on HBO Go right now. This is a documentary by James Toback where he and Alec Baldwin go to the Cannes Film Festival in order to sell a fictitious film that they came up with. And basically, the fake movie that they're trying to sell is a sort of a remake of Last Tango in Paris.
Okay.
And it's like set in modern day in Iraq. And the purpose of the documentary is to take a look at how film financing is done at the Cannes Film Festival. So they go and they meet with a lot of insanely rich film financiers, and it it tries to shed a light on how the process of financing a film is done, but it doesn't really get there for me, at least. I think that it tries, but it just doesn't. It's like an experiment that doesn't fully work, and they inject all this other stuff into the documentary that feels kind of unnecessary. Like they get some really big interviews in this. They talk to like Jessica Chastain. They talk to Diane Kruger, James Caan. They talk to Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, Ryan Gosling. Just some really big names.
Hmm.
But they don't really talk to them about like film financing. They talk to them about acting. And it just feels like kind of all over the place. And whereas I think that the concept of the film itself is really interesting. Like they go to Cannes. This is Alec Baldwin's first time at Cannes, so he's experiencing it for the first time. and they're meeting with all these people. They're learning how it works, and some of the stuff is really fascinating. Like they meet with all these foreign representatives for other countries, and they learn about like incentive packages to film their movie in that country and stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that stuff is really interesting, and it's also interesting because they interview tons of these billionaire film finance people, and they learn about how they pick movies and how much money it's worth and stuff. And it's kind of funny at first because they decide to pitch this movie. Alec Baldwin is going to star, and Neve Campbell is going to be the female lead. But every time they talk to anybody, they're like, okay, Neve Campbell, no. Alec Baldwin, no. Can't do it on his own. Which is funny because Alec Baldwin's usually sitting right there. And they were like, okay, well, how much? We're looking to get 15, 20 million for this. How much would you give realistically? And they're always like 4 or 5 million. And that aspect of the film is interesting because it further supports the idea that there's this divide in filmmaking where there's no like middle budget movies. There's the independent films that have next to no budget, and then there's the giant blockbusters that have like the $100 million budgets. There's no middle of the road movies. So filmmakers like Roman Polanski, for instance, like his movies are not super cheap, but at the same time, they're not like super expensive either. I guess you could say the same about Scorsese, where I think his movies would be in the middle, as far as budget. And these guys are having a harder time now getting financing for their movies, which I think is really funny. It's just like, how the middle class in the United States is disappearing. It's the same thing with film where these...
Can't get the middle of the road movies going.
Right, exactly. It's either these super cheap, low budget films or the giant, expensive comic book movies.
Yeah.
And they kind of explore that a little bit, but I don't feel like they go deep enough into it. And none of it can be taken seriously because if we're meant to believe that the meetings that they're having with these film finance people are like real meetings where they're actually pitching this idea and trying to get money, I never once believed that these guys actually thought that this was real. Like, none of them were taking it seriously at all.
Yeah.
So if it was supposed...
honestly, I have to say that the movie that they're trying to sell sounds terrible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's terrible.
Who wants to see Alec Baldwin in a, like, Last Tango in Paris type movie?
Yeah, and they were talking about, like, how it's going to be so full of sex and stuff, and they actually interview Bertolucci in the film and talk about it, and it's... I don't know. It just seems kind of ridiculous. Like the whole thing it's all over the place and just really, it's a really odd movie. And then at the end, James Toback asks each of the people that they interview if they're ready to die, which I thought was really odd too.
Yeah, that seems to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, there was a reason behind it, but it was kind of dumb. And I find it to be a failed experiment. I do want to see like a legit documentary about film financing.
Yeah.
Because I find that to be interesting, and I don't know a lot about it, but this was not that. It was trying to be, but it wasn't.
Not what you were looking for. I would like to also point out that The Wolf of Wall Street does have an estimated budget of $100 million.
That one's a big one. But
he's got his money. I watched Paradise Faith.
No, I think it's interesting that you start with Faith.
Well, I wanted to watch... What was the one? Love's the first one, right? Love's
the first
I wanted to watch Love, but my wife already watched it. So she was sitting down to watch Faith. And I was like, do I need to see them in order? And she's like, no, I don't think you have to. And I think that you even told me that it's not really, it's not like a must see to see them in order. So I was like, all right, I'll watch it with you. Because I want to watch them. I want to watch all three before the year's over. So it's sort of me just being opportunistic, just taking advantage of Paradise Faith being on my TV. So, yep, I watched the second one. first. That's how I do things. Um, and I have to say that this, I was not, I mean, I was impressed cinematography wise. Like, I loved the camera work in this, which is really just nothing but static shots throughout the entire film, except for like the last, I don't know, maybe 10-minute sequence where it goes into like a handheld type deal. But
Hmm.
the entire beginning of the movie is just beautifully framed shots where he centers like all the action and you just have people walking through the frame, either from the bottom left, bottom right, just walking through. Sort of, it feels a lot like Gene Dealman or, sort of like Haneke. Like, apparently that's all they do in Austria is this type of camera work. And I loved all of that. I mean, just the composition was fantastic. The color was fantastic. Um, and in the beginning of the movie, the characters themselves feel very natural, very human, and I mean, relatable. I can, I've met these types of people. So I'm like in it, and yes, it's a bit slow and it drags for a little bit, but everything makes sense. And then there just comes this complete shift in tone and character development towards the end, and everything just gets fucking weird. Not well, not even weird. It just to me, it just came off as silly and stupid. Just these all these characters that in the beginning felt very realistic and natural, just all of a sudden make these huge leaps in character development, and now they're just parodies of their former selves. And it just sucked me right out. Like I was into it, and then that happened, and I was just like, oh, what the hell am I watching? It just it feels like two different types of movies. And it's just like he put all this care and thought into the beginning portion of it and then just threw it all out the fucking window. And I mean yeah, you saw all three, correct?
Hmm.
Okay. So like I understand that she's uber religious and I know that that shit can come on rather quickly. I've experienced that myself. Not me personally, but I've seen it. And then next thing you know, she's licking and kissing and humping.
That
And I'm
scene.
just like, what? Are you fucking kidding me?
She is in love with Jesus.
Like, yeah, I get that. But she just starts humping a crucified Jesus.
She
Like,
just
out of
loves
nowhere.
him so much. She has so much love to give.
It's just, and I think that might have been the point where I was just like, oh, you're just doing this to be fucking provocative. There's no reason that this should be in here. It's just ridiculous. And then, the leap that her husband makes, who's, a Muslim that's uh, physically disabled, is in a wheelchair. I understand he feels ignored and everything. And then out of nowhere, he just turns into a wife beater. And he's calling her a whore and a slut. And I'm just like, okay, that seemed to be a rapid shift in personality.
Well, there was definitely something going on there before the movie even began because he was gone, remember? Like
Yeah.
he was somewhere else and then he just showed up. So there was obviously some sort of tension there from the beginning, but I think that things devolved pretty quickly in their relationship.
Yeah. I just wasn't a fan. Wasn't a fan. It just, to me, a lot of aspects just felt like he was just doing it to get a rise out of people. And I do see, I mean, on a base level, I do see that he's doing this whole culture clash, globalization type deal where, of course, the husband's a Muslim and he's physically disabled and she's, a devout Catholic and he's a foreigner in her world and he's sort of ignored. And then how, I can see the
Well, she
correlation that he's trying to make with, actual real world problems. But I just think that he throws all of that out the window with these ridiculous character developments towards the end of the film. Because that seems to be his thing in everything. Like it's there in love. She goes to Kenya and she's using, the Kenyans, and it's in his import export movie. It seems like that's what he's stuck on.
Yeah, I mean I could see that, I guess.
But I don't know. I was not a fan. I'm still interested because I like the way that the film was made. Just the writing I was not into. So I'm
I think
definitely
that
interested in seeing Love and Hope.
I think that Faith was my least favorite
Well, that's the other thing too.
out
I've been reading
those
that
three.
from a lot of people. Everyone seems to be saying that Faith is the weakest of the three.
Yeah, because I don't know. That one was it was fine. I still liked it, but I did one of the scenes that I really liked a lot was the overly long like fight scene that she had with that woman that was drinking.
Oh yeah,
I just thought that was so bizarre.
I know. The whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, why are you there?
Yeah.
Just get the fuck out of her life.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting. All right. I saw Two Lane Blacktop from 1971. This was my Grindhouse Weekly pick.
I've been wanting to see this for a while.
Yeah, this is on Criterion, which I didn't even know at first. Directed by Monty Hellman and stars James Taylor.
Oh yeah.
James Taylor and Dennis Wilson, drummer of the Beach Boys.
There you go.
And it also stars Warren Oates and Laurie Bird. Basically, this is one of these existential road trip movies from the early 70s, you know, like a Route 66
Yeah.
type pre-interstate movie. And at first, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is okay. You know, there's not a lot going on here, not a lot to latch onto. But by the end of the film, I was just like, I love this movie. This movie is so incredible. And because it's one of those movies that has at least in my opinion, an infinite amount of interpretations that you can take away from it because it is a completely stripped down movie. The dialogue is very sparse. The characters, they don't even have names. You don't even know the names of the characters. You don't really know why they're doing what they're doing. They're just driving. They're just driving across the country.
This sounds like the quintessential blueprint for mumblecore.
Sort of. I could see that. I mean, with mumblecore though, there's a lot more random dialogue.
That's true.
With this movie, a lot of it's just kind of silent, and you don't really know what's motivating the characters. But there's like a million ways that you can look at this movie. You can look at it on the surface as just kind of a poorly scripted road trip movie that's just cashing in on the success of Easy Rider. But then another way you can look at it is it's this like kind of fantastical, just odd road trip movie that takes a look at, you know, this subculture.
Yeah.
Or counterculture, I guess you would say. But each character has kind of their own little quirks. A lot of people talk about the Laurie Bird character because she's this like young girl who, for some reason, she just gets in their car. So there's a fantastic scene. It looks amazing. It's just James Taylor and Dennis Wilson, and they're in a diner, and it's completely silent. They're eating in this diner along the road, and the whole scene is just the camera's just sitting there, pointed at them eating, and they're not saying a word to each other. And in the background, you see Laurie Bird getting out of this van and then getting into their car, and she's sitting in the back of their car. So they finish eating, and they get in their car, and they drive away. They see her, but they don't ask her what she's doing in their car. They don't say, "Who are you?" Like nothing. They just drive away. Like it's just normal. And then the weird thing is she ends up having sex with pretty much everybody in the entire movie. And that's kind of weird. I know that a lot of people talk about that aspect, but there's so much going on. And then Warren Oates comes in and he challenges them to a race across the country.
There you go.
And along the way, he picks up random hitchhikers. So he'll just pick up random hitchhikers everywhere he goes, and each person he picks up, he tells them a different life story about himself. So you never really know who this guy is, where he comes from, because it's all made up. One of the hitchhikers he picks up is Harry Dean Stanton, who plays a gay cowboy.
Fantastic.
Yep. And it's amazing because Harry Dean keeps trying to proposition him. It's just so ridiculous. It's a weird movie. It's a very weird movie, and one of the best lines, it happens near the beginning of the film. So what they're doing is they're financing this road trip by doing races. So they're racing people on like quarter mile tracks and on the street. So there's a scene where James Taylor tries to reel in this guy into a race, tries to like sucker him into a race, and he walks up to the guy, and the guy's like, "Oh, do you want to race?" And James Taylor, he goes, "Make it 3 yards, motherfucker, and we'll have an automobile race." And it was just the way that James Taylor delivered this line. It was so brilliant because it's James Taylor. Make it 3 yards, mother. Because he's all soft spoken, so he's like, "Make it 3 yards, motherfucker, and we'll have an automobile race."
Oh God, I want to watch this right now.
Yeah, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's amazing.
Where'd you end up with it, rating wise?
Oh, I gave it a 4.5 on Letterboxd.
All right.
Like I said, it's a movie that it sits with you. Like, I didn't initially rate it after I saw it. I rated it like 2 days later, and the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you know what? I really love that movie. Because after I watched it, I was like, it was all right. Not a lot to it. But then the longer I sat with it, the more I liked it. Yeah, it's and I like these kinds of movies though. Yeah. So like, I like Vanishing Point, Easy Rider, Electric Glide and Blue, Electra Glide.
I like pretty much all you had to do is tell me 70s American, and I'm like, yes, I'm in. That just seemed to be like, everything came together for American filmmakers in the 70s.
Yeah, and this
just continuously killed it.
This is definitely one of those time capsule films where it perfectly encapsulates the era. I mean, you got muscle cars. The road itself plays a character in this film, much like a lot of those other ones. And it's very existential, It's all about...
Is it all about how the old highway's dying out?
Yeah. Yep. And, these people are just kind of meandering through their lives, and they have no real purpose, and it's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out.
Yep, on Criterion.
Oh, that probably means it's on Hulu. I could jump on there and watch it tonight. I watched 2 animated short films by Frederick Back, but I watched The Man Who Planted Trees and Crack. Now, Crack being...
Crack by Back?
Crack by Back, correct. Which is I think that's from 1981, which actually won him a Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. And Crack is really good, in which it's a nice little story of sort of the life of a tree, or I guess more specifically the afterlife of a tree. The guy goes out, cuts down the tree, handcrafts it into a rocking chair, and then it sort of shows the life of the rocking chair throughout the family's life. So, the wife uses it to rock the baby asleep. The kids use it as a number of different creative outlet type deals where they're imagining that it's a race car. They're imagining that it's a horse, all sorts of things. And then finally it's discarded, and it's sort of just left out in the open while, the town that they live in sort of, which I'm guessing is Quebec, because it's I guess his self-proclaimed tribute to Quebec, that goes through their rapid transition of industrialization and just, modernization and everything. And then it's sort of rediscovered and repurposed and put into like a modern art museum, to sort of celebrate the old artwork and it's quite good. His style of animation is fantastic. in Crack. I mean, The Man Who Planted Trees, I didn't think was as good. I don't think it served its. I just don't think it worked with the type of story that they were telling. Which The Man Who Planted Trees is based off of a original story um, by a French author, Jean Gino, who does a. It's narrated by Christopher Plummer, and it sort of tells the story of this man that spends a solitary life of planting trees, just planting trees all the time. Picks out the great best acorns he can find, and he plants like 100 trees a day. And he ends up creating this huge forest. It's absolutely beautiful, brings life to this barren wasteland, and everyone's just unbelievable. People move there, and everyone's happy, and no one really knows that he's the guy that did all of this. They just figure that it's a creation from God, and it just sort of a miracle that this force sprung back out of nowhere. But in all actuality, he's the guy that created the whole thing, just from years and years and years of going out and planting trees. So, I mean, the story is unbelievable. It's a great story, and Christopher Plummer's voice is perfect to narrate this story. He just has that somber, gentle tone to him, and it all works beautifully. But in all actuality, it's like an audiobook. And Beck's animation just doesn't really work here, for me at least. I mean, if you apps, because there's a lot of people that absolutely love The Man Who Planted Trees, and I can completely understand that. Like, if you tell me it's a 10 out of 10 for you, I wouldn't argue at all. I can completely understand where you're coming from. But to me, I just didn't like his animation is sort of a combination of like charcoal, color pencil type sketches where they're
Mm-hmm.
always shifting and moving.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, for The Man Who Planted Trees, there just wasn't enough life in the story for his animation to really work well like it did in Crack. But I recommend both of them, even though I didn't like The Man Who Planted Trees that much. But I think I imagine a lot of people love the story. And they're
Yeah.
actually both on YouTube. You can watch both of them.
Yeah, I was just watching as you were talking about it. I was just watching parts of the Man Who Planted Trees. Doesn't that animation style probably can't get behind that, but
No, but trust me, if you watch The Man Who Planted Trees and you're just like, this animation is not that great. If you watch Crack, you'll be like, oh, it works so much better in this type of atmosphere where
mm-hmm.
there's a lot of, merriment and activity going on and a lot of color, and it really works well there.
Cool. I saw Blue is the Warmest Color. Now, I'm probably not gonna talk a lot about this because I imagine that you're gonna see it at some point, and we'll probably talk about it again.
Yeah, we'll probably next week. I'll probably see it
Um,
this week, sometime this week.
so I liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, but I will say that I do have problems with it. Now, you were talking about how Paradise Faith you felt was provocative just to be provocative. Like parts of it were just thrown in there, and I feel the exact same way about Blue is the Warmest Color. I mean, we all know, for those that have seen the movie, understand, and even those that haven't probably heard about the type of content that's in the movie. There are very long, very graphic sex scenes in this movie.
Hmm.
And a lot of times I just didn't really understand why we needed them to be so long and so graphic. Or maybe just so long. Like, I get that it's trying to convey that these two girls are extremely in love with each other, and they have this kind of insatiable lust for one another, but it just felt like it was pandering to people that just want to see this type of provocative cinema.
Hmm.
And you know, I don't think that necessarily hurt the movie for me too much, but it is a 3 hour long movie, so
Oh God, damn
yeah,
it.
yeah, it's a long one to get through. So I feel like they probably could have trimmed some of it down, and the the reason that I gave it a 4 out of 5 is for pretty much one thing alone, and that's the performances from the two characters, who I'm not even going to try to pronounce their names because I'd butcher them. Leah and Adele. I'll say their first
There
names.
you go. There you go. Nailed it.
They were incredible. Like, absolutely, at least to me, amazing. Like, I really felt like these two people were, they just felt so real. And some of that has to do, I think, with the script, but everything felt so natural. The conversations, the emotion, it was just amazing to me. The cinematography is really good too. There were a few specific visual shots that I found to be really, really cool looking. And I'll probably wait to talk about those specific ones till after you see it, just to see if we're on the same page with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the story overall, I didn't find it to be that great or unique in any way. It felt very similar to like 500 Days of Summer, a lot of other love stories. I mean, they don't go with a Hollywood ending with this movie, which, you know, that's always a plus. But at the same time, there wasn't a whole lot there.
Yeah, I'm not that interested in this film. I'm gonna watch it, but
I mean, I think it's definitely worth watching. If anything, it's worth watching for the performances because they were just incredible. I thought they were incredible, at least.
I just got sick and tired of the back and forth between the director and the actresses.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
I mean, the director came off as like a huge fucking dick, and then this came out at the time where, before this movie came out and sort of swept through Cannes, I was already sort of getting sick and tired of movies where men trying to depict like female sexuality. Like, it just really started to bother me because it just always seems like they're like fantasy of like what they want it to be. And then when this film came out, I was like, oh, here we go. Why the fuck is this guy making this movie? But then I did think about it a little bit because it being based on like a graphic novel, right? By a female. Mm-hmm. And then I'm wondering why she gave this guy the rights to adapt it. Because she even came out and said that she hated it and she didn't like the way that things were handled, especially the sex scenes. Because she was sort of saying the same thing that you're saying.
I don't understand what. And you'll see, like, it's extremely, and I'm not a prude, you know, like, I watch, the bulk of the movies I watch contain a lot of graphic sex and violence, but I just didn't understand what, I didn't get why it was so long and so graphic. It just seemed, and like, I think that it's interesting because we have Nymphomaniac coming out in a few months, and I think that it'll be an interesting companion piece because I think that the sex in that movie is probably going to be more graphic and more disturbing, but
yeah,
I think in that movie it's going to be justified. There's going to be a reason for it.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm gonna keep my my mind open going into Blue is the Warmest Color.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, like I tried to skirt around like specifics of what I thought because I don't want you to be thinking about that when you're watching it. So I'll hold off on like my specific thoughts for now.
Gotcha. I then watched The Hunt. I finally got to see The Hunt. Thomas Vinterberg's The Hunt, co-written with Tobias Lindholm, who wrote and directed A Hijacking, which I did not know until after the film. So I was like, I mean, as soon as I was done watching The Hunt, I was like, this was very well written. It's like, who wrote this? And then come to find out it was the guy that directed A Hijacking, which is another one of, I think, this year's best films. The Hunt I absolutely loved. I get pretty much everything that I see from people is that Mads Mikkelsen is unbelievable, and that seems to be what every single person talks about. And while I did like his performance, I thought that he was actually outshined by the little girl that plays Clara, Anika Whittercop. I thought she did an amazing job. I thought that she was actually better than Mads Mikkelsen. But I can see why people are freaking out about Mads. The guy's name is Mads, for Christ's sake.
I love him, and I loved him in that movie.
Plus that headbutt. Are you serious? That
Hmm.
headbutt was awesome. But I love it has that whole mob mentality type deal where it's fairly clearly set out for the viewer in the beginning that he's completely innocent of the charges that are about to be brought up against him later in the film. I mean, they give you
Yeah, and that
pretty
was
much where Clara gets this idea of what she actually says, where it comes from, and so you know that he's completely innocent. She's just saying it because she was rejected and reprimanded for kissing him on the lips, and she just said something stupid. And she even says that. She even tries to tell the parents that I just said something stupid. He didn't do anything. But they take it as, oh, she's trying to block it out now. That's her like defense mechanism to sort of move on from this is that she's blacking it out and she's trying to say that it's her fault now. And I think that that's the best thing that I've seen this year from Tobias Lindholm in with his writing between a hijacking and the hunt is even though, and I'm sure it was the same for you, you get really pissed off for the way that the townsfolk start treating Lucas, Mads Mikkelsen's character, and the way they sort of automatically put him into this pariah status.
well, sort of, but at the same time, well, that's the interesting thing about The Hunt is that it's a conversation piece. Like it kind of makes you say, okay, well, yeah, it's easy to say that you're pissed off about these townsfolk, but try to put yourself in their shoes.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I love about Lindholm's writing is you completely understand where all of these characters are coming from.
Right. Yep.
Because you have all the information there, they do not. So you have to sort of look at it from their perspective,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you can completely understand where all these people are coming from.
Yeah.
And all the
It-
actions that they do, everything that they say, it's all very realistic and you completely understand where they're coming from.
yeah. And that's the thing that makes that film so difficult. And but just the fact that I mean, we've seen movies like this before, but the way that the way that they set it out like this guy's innocent and we know that from the very beginning, there's no question about it. That's what's new. And I think
Hmm.
that that's one of the things that I found so refreshing about this movie is that like with all these other movies where someone's accused of doing something
Yeah.
terrible,
And I
it's like
was,
the whole movie's about, well, did he really do it?
yeah. And I was actually worried like halfway through. I thought that I was really hoping that there wasn't going to be this twist
Oh yeah.
where you found out like someone else actually sexually abused her and she just blamed Lucas, but it was actually so and so. I was really hoping. I had my fingers crossed the whole time, like, please don't go that route, please.
That's I didn't even think about that when I saw it.
But the main thing that I loved about this film was the relationship between Lucas and Clara. So Clara makes like in the beginning they show how it's his best friend's daughter, first off. So
Mm-hmm.
he's known her like her entire life. And he is always there for her, always helping her out, and they show that in the beginning of the film. And then it's easy to see why she sort of falls in love with him, given her, mental stasis. She seems to suffer from some sort of like OCD type disorder, and her parents are always arguing. She just, you can understand why she latches onto Lucas and
Right.
essentially falls in love with the guy. It's completely understandable. And she makes this unfounded remark just because she was upset. And the thing that I loved about it is that Lucas never once blames her, never gets angry at her, aggressive, nothing. Just always treats her the way that he's always treated her. Even when she shows up to his house like the day afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
asking if she can walk his dog, he still just talks to her like they're the best of friends. And I thought that that was really nice. That was the main thing that I loved about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic movie, and it's on Netflix now.
No, no, I actually got this as a disc, but
Oh,
I I wouldn't be surprised if because Vinterberg's other movies are Play Instant, so I have a feeling like in a couple of weeks it'll be Play Instant.
so it currently it's you can rent it on the disc version of
Yeah,
Netflix.
but this is the movie that's like solidified for me. Tobias Lindholm. I'm gonna be checking out pretty much anything he comes out with,
I still haven't seen a hijacking. I gotta see that.
and it's the same thing in a hijacking. Like you completely understand where every character is coming from. You understand everything that they're doing because he sort of gives you the information the same way that he does in The Hunt.
Yeah, cool. The only other one I saw was called Psalm. It's a documentary about wine sommeliers.
All right.
Now, I'm not necessarily a wine person. I've tried several times, and I may try again after watching this movie. But for some reason, I just don't like wine. I don't like the taste.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan either.
And like I've tried, because it does seem like something that I would be into. Like I've been to like vineyards and stuff, and I've done wine tastings, and I've just never enjoyed anything. But this documentary is so fascinating. It's about every year they do a big test for sommeliers to achieve the rank of master sommelier.
Right.
And the documentary follows this group of 4 people as they basically study for this test, for this giant test. And the test is extremely difficult. Like there's only, I think when the movie started, there was like 170 master sommeliers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes through the rigorous training that these guys do. And the part of the test, it's a 3-day test, and there's 3 parts to it. And the one part is a blind taste where they give you 3 whites, 3 reds, and you have to describe all of the smells, the flavors. You have to say if it's New World or Old World, the country that it's from, the region that it's from, the vineyard that it's from. You have to say the year and what kind of wine, like the specific, brand of wine it is.
Mm-hmm.
Just off of a blind taste, which is to me incredible. And when you see it in the movie, you're just like, holy shit, how do these people do this? It's amazing. Like to be able to taste a wine and smell it and be like, oh, this is from 2009. This was, comes from the Napa Valley, or whatever. It was just incredible to me. And I really enjoyed it. Even though I'm not a wine person, I found it to be really entertaining. I mean, it's a really straightforward documentary. There's no flair other than they do these really cool things. Like as the day of the test approaches, they do these kind of transition shots where it's slow motion of wine in a wine glass being destroyed. So like at the beginning, they just show the wine glass like sitting, and then like the next, as it gets closer, they show it like falling over, and then eventually it gets to the point where I think they're like shooting it with a gun or something because it's just exploding. And it's like super slow motion shots. They look really cool, and it's just this kind of interesting flourish that they added to it that I really liked. But this is on Netflix Instant.
Do they at least give, because you're saying it's sort of, a straightforward documentary, and I'm interested to know, do they give you a good bit of information?
At least? Yeah. I mean, it's crammed full of information. Like you learned so much about the job, because I didn't know too much about sommeliers other than it's a guy at a restaurant that recommends wine to you.
Because that was the first thing when you're like sommelier and they're trying to pass this master class, and I'm just like, what do you do with that? You just end up working at a restaurant. Like, what else can you do with that certificate?
It's actually it's actually really, really prestigious. Like once you have achieved that rank, you're pretty much set for life. Like you have so many opportunities. Like literally as soon as you receive your diploma, you're getting job offers to work at, some of the most prestigious restaurants in the world, and you're pretty much set.
Wow.
It's very, very prestigious.
It also sort of sucks because it seems like it comes down to genes. You know how there's like master tasters where people have the different palates.
That's the interesting thing about this is they all say in the film that it's not something that you have to have this talent. It's a learned ability. And the one they were talking to one of the master class people, and he said he kind of equated it to a master samurai sword maker. He's like, you don't say that, okay, he was just born into this talent of making swords. He learned it from a teacher.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how this is, where anybody can do it. You just have to learn from the right person.
That's odd because I do remember, I think it was just like last year, 2 years ago, there was a study done about, people with these advanced
Yeah,
palates and how
yeah.
you could sit like a shitty bottle of wine
Hmm.
and a like a I mean high end bottle of wine. It's just thousands of dollars. And the people with the less developed palates, they can't tell the difference at all. They taste exactly the same for some
Yeah,
people.
and I mean, maybe that's people that just aren't in the wine world. That like I always thought that too. Like some people have a refined palate and some people don't, but apparently with wine tasting, it's it's a learned ability because when you taste wine and like it's funny because they use all these descriptors, um like wet tree floor and like the one that they use is rubber hose and grandma's purse.
Okay. All
And they use
right.
like all these different descriptors, like burnt oak and like dried rose petals and all this stuff. But I mean, the fact of the matter is those things are not actually in the wine, but
Yeah.
for whatever reason, that's what they smell like.
Hmm.
So it's really, really interesting. I found it to be. And the thing about it is you have to learn so much more than just what a wine is by smelling it and tasting it. Like, you have to learn about the region that it comes from, like specific regions. You have to learn about different varieties of grapes. You have to learn about the food that should be uh, eaten with a specific type of wine or vice versa. You have to learn
Hmm.
about cigars. You have to learn about just all this extra shit that you just couldn't imagine. But I highly recommend it. Very entertaining.
Yeah, I might have to check this one out.
Yeah.
It seems just very interesting.
Yeah, and it's fun too. I mean, the guys that they follow, they all have kind of unique personalities. They're all relatively funny. It's just an enjoyable watch.
Well, I have one last one, which is also a documentary, which was not that good, I don't
Yeah.
think. I ended up seeing Blackfish, which is play instant right now on Netflix. As so is I also rewatched Prince Avalanche last night, which is also play instantly on Netflix. But I'm just going to talk about Blackfish. So I thought that this would be all about killer whale orcas, which I like to put those two names together.
Killer whale orcas.
Killer whale orcas. That's what I call them. And I thought that there was just going to be so much information about killer whale orcas and how they are in the wild as opposed to how they are in places like SeaWorld when they're kept in captivity. And I feel like what I really got was a bunch of former SeaWorld employees just trying to come to terms with their old job and just trying to justify what they used to do. And it just, I don't, I mean, there was one shocking thing to me that came out of this was when they were talking about, all these people were talking about how they wanted to be animal trainers so bad at SeaWorld. They just want to do it. Nothing more in the world that they want to do and then work with these killer whale orcas. And then they find out that all you gotta do is be in decent shape and be a good swimmer. So give it a shot. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, doesn't that tell you right there that something's fucking wrong? Like
Yeah.
you don't need to know anything to take care of these animals. That's a huge red flag. And I was sort of getting annoyed by these people telling me, they're on the camera and telling me that how much they love killer whale orcas. They just absolutely love them. They're majestic beasts, all this and that. And at the same time, they're telling me that the only thing that they knew about them is what SeaWorld told them, or what SeaWorld taught them about killer whale orcas. That's the only information they know. And I'm like, well, if you love these animals so fucking much, how do you not know anything about them? Like, how are you not interested? How are you not at like a Barnes and Noble and you're like, oh, killer whales, I work with them. Let me check this out. Like, how do you not know any of this information? How did no one buy you any presents, like any books or anything about killer whales? I mean, the internet exists. I don't get it. They're just like the amount of information that they knew is just twisted facts that came from SeaWorld. And then they're sitting here trying to tell me that they love killer whales. And I'm like, you don't love killer whales. You just love your fucking job. You don't give a shit about killer whales. And it's just, and then the thing that gets me is that, it's all about Tillicum, the killer whale orca that kills people. And they sort of set it up, they get you emotionally invested. And then they start talking about how they have documents proving that there's been like 170 or 180 attacks at SeaWorld with these killer whales on the trainers and stuff. And I'm like, oh, here we go. They're gonna just drive it home. And they talk about like two instances and then they're done. I'm just like, what? You have all that information. Can you please share it with me? I mean, you're trying to make SeaWorld look so bad, and I mean they do, but
Yeah, yeah, they do.
But SeaWorld is already bad. I mean, I don't think you really need this documentary to show you that they're a terrible place. You should already know that. I mean, they're huge animals being kept in probably a space that's smaller than my apartment right now. I mean, that's bad. You don't need
With
a
no
doc.
lights.
Yeah,
With no lights on.
you don't need a documentary to tell you. These
Well,
these things swim hundreds of miles every day. And I and then also they inadvertently do this thing where they're talking about Tillicum and saying that he's like psychotic. Like he had a psychotic break and that's why he kills now. And they sort of I think they inadvertently make him look deranged. And
well,
it's so
he is. I think he is crazy. I
I,
mean,
I
that's what they try to.
I know, but I think they go about it the wrong way, and especially when they go into where they show like all of his offspring, because that's really all they use Tillicum for now. And I mean, they bring him out once a blue moon, he does the bow thing, but they really just use him for breeding purposes, and they show this, family tree type deal of all these offspring of Tillicum, and they're saying that like the offspring are deranged because they came from Tillicum, and I'm like, no, that's not the point here. It's not that Tillicum's like mentally disturbed and he's psychotic and he's passing his genes on. It's the fact that how they store them
Right.
and how they treat them. Like you're
Because
completely missing the point here,
right,
documentary
because
people.
the same thing is going to happen to Tillicum's offspring that happened to Tillicum.
Yeah, but they were
They're treating him the same. They're treating those
yeah,
animals the same way.
but the
So of
way that
course it's
they
going to happen.
the way that they sort of present it is they're sort of blaming it on like it's in Tillicum's genes because he's psychotic. So now we have all these other offsprings that might be mentally disturbed because they came from him. And it's like, no, no, that's not the reason. It's because they're kept in a tiny enclosure with no lights and they're very social creatures. And just
And plus,
everything you're doing is terrible. Stop it.
and, yeah, and plus Tillicum's getting bullied by the other orcas too. He's
Yeah.
getting like injured, and I'd go crazy too. I'd start killing people.
Why wouldn't you? And especially because when they do, because it really all revolves around that the most recent trainer to be killed by an orca, and when they sort of show it to you, and she runs out of fish, and she's not giving him treats for the tricks that he's doing. So guess what? Orca's gonna get pissed off, right?
Yeah.
You gotta fucking give them treats, or they're gonna get their own treats, which involve you. And I'm sorry, I'm just one of these types of people. I do not feel bad for you. It's the same way with like shark attacks. Stay the fuck away from 'em, all right? I'm not gonna feel bad for you because you got attacked by something that you should be playing with in the first place.
Yeah, I agree to you to a certain extent.
I don't get it. Like an orca whale puts its flipper up. Like what's so cool about that? Oh, he rolls on his back. Who gives a
Well,
shit?
this
Leave him
documentary
alone.
is not. I mean, it's not meant for someone like you that already has your mind made up about it, or me for that matter. It's, I think, supposed to be for people that don't realize what's going on here, and
But
make.
I think that I completely understand what you're saying, and I think that they missed an opportunity because I have a feeling that a lot of those people, the ones that you're describing, are going to watch this and just go, "Oh, that's disgusting. That's sad," and then just forget about it like a week later.
I hope not. I mean, there has been a bit of an impact on this. Like a lot of the people that perform at SeaWorld are canceling. Actually, I just read this week that Willie Nelson was going to have a big SeaWorld like thing that he was doing, and he dropped out. And then there was another big singer that was going to be playing at SeaWorld that dropped out because of this movie. So, I think that
Good.
it's good. Movies like this, I think, are important.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it does have a good, a positive impact,
Yeah,
which it seems like you're saying it is. So that's good.
yeah. I mean,
I
it's
just
not
think
gonna.
as a documentary, though, I just think it was sort of, yeah.
I saw one. I saw one other one that I forgot to put on Letterboxd. It's called Big Boys Gone Bananas.
Oh,
Uh,
you finally got to see this?
yep, finally got to see it. It's actually on Netflix Instant.
I wanted to tell you that it was because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, Adam's been wanting to see that for like 2 years.
Yeah. So basically, this is a documentary about a Swedish filmmaker who made a movie. He made a documentary called Bananas. And you can see that documentary. It came out in 2009, and you're finally able to see it. But basically, the documentary is about the fruit company Dole and how they are using this pesticide, this poisonous pesticide that made all the males at this in these banana fields in Nicaragua, they went sterile because of it, and some of them died, and there was a big court case around it. Dole was found guilty. There was a huge settlement, and this Swedish filmmaker just made a documentary about this. And he, after the documentary was completed, he was going to release it at the LA Film Festival, and Dole got wind of the film and basically started this enormous campaign to crush the movie. And they started by sending letters to the filmmakers and to the LA Film Festival and all the sponsors of the LA Film Festival saying, you better not let this thing come out or we're going to sue everyone. And so what happened was the LA Film Festival didn't back down. They still allowed the film to be shown, but they took it out of competition, so it wasn't in competition anymore. And then they ended up showing it at one of their like satellite locations, which was inaccessible via shuttle, and it was just kind of, relegated to this smaller area.
Yeah.
And they had to read this statement before each screening that says this film is being shown only as a case study that all documentary filmmakers should check their facts before creating a film because this movie is entirely fraudulent. And it was just so unbelievable. And then, of course, after the film screened at the festival, Dole did sue the filmmakers and started this huge smear campaign by sending out like press releases to the media and stuff saying that the movie was entirely a fraud, everything was fabricated. The lawyer that was represented in the case was a liar and an ambulance chaser and all this stuff. And I mean, it was just so incredible to see this giant corporation attacking this small filmmaker about this, and it was just so crazy. And we've on the site we've been going through some shit recently that's kind of the same thing, and I just found it to be so fascinating. And the funny thing was with this documentary, Big Boys Gone Bananas, as soon as he got the first letter from Dole, he started filming. Like, he started filming everything. And the result is this documentary that he put out about how Dole was trying to crush his First Amendment rights. And it's I think anybody that's into journalism or film should definitely see this movie, because a lot of it is about journalism as well, and how Dole used the media to manipulate this story.
Wow.
So highly recommend checking that one out.
Corporations, good people. Good people.
Absolutely. All right. You want to talk about some Golden Globes noms?
Sure, why not?
All right. So earlier this week, the Golden Globes nominations came out. I don't know if you've had a chance to review all of these, Kevin, but we'll just start with the big ones.
Right off the bat, did you care? Did you care?
No, of course not. It's funny, each year
exactly.
I care a little bit less.
Exactly. This was the first year where I was like, who cares?
I
didn't even, I was looking down through the site and I saw that you posted them. I was like, no, I got other stuff.
Well, yeah, that was the thing when I was writing the article. I was like, ugh. I didn't even want to write the article.
Who cares?
So we'll start with the big ones. Best Motion Picture, Drama, 12 Years a Slave, Captain Phillips, Gravity, Philomena, and Rush.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of...
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't seen Philomena. I've heard good things, but it doesn't interest me. But Rush, I find it... I'm a little confused as to why Rush is on there.
Rush is on there because it's an unwritten rule that you have to have at least one Spielberg or one Ron Howard film nominated every year.
Yeah.
I think to me, that's how I see it. Like, they're the darlings of the studio system. They have to get theirs.
Yeah. So that list I find to be pretty... I don't even know if any of these... Well, 12 Years a Slave will be on my top 10. Gravity might be on my top 10. But none of the other ones will be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really weak 5 films.
I think it's extremely weak.
For best drama.
Well, plus you know that 12 Years a Slave is going to win it anyway. So
yeah.
Why don't they just give out the winner?
The nominees for best drama are 12 Years a Slave, 12 Years a Slave, 12 Years a Slave, 12 Years a Slave. That's
because
it.
you know it's going to win anyway.
Exactly.
So, best performance by an actress in a motion picture, we have Cate Blanchett for Blue Jasmine, Sandra Bullock for Gravity, Judi Dench for Philomena, Emma Thompson for Saving Mr. Banks, and Kate Winslet for Labor Day. Did Labor Day come out this year? Is that even...
Maybe like a limited release. I don't even know if it came out limited yet.
I don't think
maybe
it
like
did.
Towards the end of the year.
I mean, I would assume that it's going to have some sort of release to be included, but...
But also, we haven't gotten to talk about Labor Day. That looks like a piece of shit, right? I think Labor Day looks god-awful.
I don't know. I'll see it.
It looks like a Lifetime movie.
I'll check it out.
God,
why not?
God, a GD Lifetime movie.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that one plays out. Slightly interested, I guess. I don't know.
But it's directed by Manila folder extraordinaire, Jason Reitman.
I know you really don't like him. I do.
God, he's so boring. He's so bland. Unbelievably bland.
him
and Alexander Payne.
They do have very similar styles to them.
They are the epitome of... I'm going to start that. We got to start that. Manila folder. All tours.
All right. Best performance by an actor. We have Chiwetel Ejiofor for
that actually wasn't so bad. Have you been practicing that?
No, I haven't, but I don't even know if that is the right way of saying it.
It's probably not. It's probably not even close, but it sounds good.
Yeah. Idris Elba, Mandela, Tom Hanks for Saving Mr. Banks, Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club, and Robert Redford for All Is Lost.
And Tom Hanks for Captain Phillips.
Oh. On my list, it says Saving Mr. Banks, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go Captain Phillips. Probably a
Both.
better performance in that.
Just say
But,
both.
yeah, I mean that's fine. Like that's a fine list. I haven't seen Mandela or Dallas Buyers Club or All's Lost, so
Robert Redford's okay in All's Lost. Like I'll give him kudos for doing like all the stunt work that he does in it, but I don't know. I guess I really can't be too upset with that one.
best motion picture, comedy or musical. We have American Hustle, Her, Inside Llewyn Davis, Nebraska, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, like to me, those movies seem way more appealing than the
The best.
best motion picture drama.
This is another thing that I hate about the Golden Globes is the breakups. How there's drama and then comedy or musical.
Yeah,
I
I
hate
don't
how
know.
they're broken up into two.
I don't like that at all. Like, because I think that a lot of those movies are definitely, you could argue, that are not comedies.
Yeah, I don't know how hilarious Nebraska is.
I heard that it is actually really funny, but I don't know if it'd be considered a comedy.
Yeah.
Nor would I think that Her is necessarily considered a comedy. Or American Hustle. I don't consider any of those to be comedies.
That's I don't know what Golden Globes are doing. I've never understood the Golden Globes though, so
Yeah. Best performance by an actress in a motion picture, comedy, or musical. See, they break it down
I know,
to
but
that too.
exactly. That's what bothers me, man.
God. Oh man.
Which
Amy
one?
Adams
Oh.
for American Hustle, Julie Delpy for Before Midnight. Again, comedy or musical. Before Midnight is not. That is not a comedy. I'm sorry. That's a
I also
drama.
don't think is August Osage County really a comedy?
No, I don't consider.
Because Meryl Streep.
Is it? Do they must consider it a comedy just because there's like one or two jokes in it that make you laugh?
It seems like I have a feeling that they have a scorecard while they're watching, and if they chuckle at least two times, it automatically gets thrown into comedy or musical category.
If there's one hearty laugh or four chortles, it's considered a comedy.
Oh God.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus got nominated for Enough Said. That's cool. And Greta Gerwig for Frances Ha.
I like that. I do like seeing Greta Gerwig in there. I also
Yeah.
like Amy Adams does look pretty good in American Hustle.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see that. Best performance by an actor in a motion picture, comedy, or musical. We have Christian Bale for American Hustle, Bruce Dern for Nebraska, Leonardo DiCaprio for The Wolf of Wall Street, Oscar Isaac for Inside Llewyn Davis, and Joaquin Phoenix for Her. They all look like pretty solid performances. So
Yeah, I can't really get upset with any of those.
yeah. Best animated film: The Croods, Despicable Me 2, and Frozen.
Solid
like-
year for animated
That
film.
is like three garbage picks right there. I feel like there had to be at least one or two other animated films.
I don't know. Maybe not. I can barely keep track of what comes out in one year.
I know for a fact that I saw some animated films this year
Something. You saw something.
because I didn't see The Croods, Despicable Me 2, or Frozen.
Wasn't there like a? Wasn't there a?
Oh, there was
stop-
Monsters University.
Yeah.
I think.
What the hell's that? What's that about? Wasn't there a stop motion one too?
Oh, there was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 that
Yeah.
came out. I mean, those weren't great, but they were better than. Or they look better than those three. Anyway,
It's fucking Minions.
best foreign language film, we have Blue is the Warmest Color, The Great Beauty, The Hunt, The Past, and The Wind Rises. Lots of thes going on there.
Yeah, a lot of those. All pretty solid films. I think I love the fact that The Wind Rises is probably better than all three animated features put together.
Yeah, what the hell's that all about?
Better than all three of those films put together.
Yeah. Let's skip to Best Director. We have Alfonso, and then see that they do Best Director Motion Picture, so that includes all of them.
Yeah, you don't get it broken
You
up
don't
into.
separate the directors. You can separate the movies themselves and the actors, but not the directors.
That's right.
So that's Alfonso Cuarón, Paul Greengrass, Steve McQueen, Alexander Payne, and David O. Russell. pretty standard list there.
Yeah.
Names that we see every year.
Yep. All their buddies. All their buddies.
Screenplay, we have Spike Jonze for Her, Bob Nelson for Nebraska, Jeff Pope and Steve Coogan for Philomena. I just want to see Steve Coogan win a Golden Globe. I think that'd be cool.
That would be pretty nice.
John Ridley for 12 Years a Slave, Eric Warren Singer and David O. Russell for American Hustle. That's pretty much it. Pretty weak. Pretty weak, I would say.
Yeah.
The Golden Globes are going to be on TV January 12th. They're going to be hosted by Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. So,
Which would be the only reason I would watch this.
yeah, I mean, it'll be funny. I might watch it. I don't remember if I don't think I watched last year.
Oh, two things I wanted to point out real quick. I'm happy to see in Best Supporting Actor, Jared Leto's back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to see that on there. I'm happy to see Farhad Abdi from Captain Phillips and Daniel Bruhl.
Yeah.
It's sort of surprising to see him on here. I haven't seen him in any American films besides
He was
Inglourious
really-
Bastards.
He was really good in Rush. He
Was he?
was. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bradley Cooper gets him because of his perm. I wish it said Bradley Cooper and perm. And then Best Supporting Actress. I'm happy to see Sally Hawkins on there for Blue Jasmine, and of course Lupita Nyong'o for 12 Years a Slave,
Yep. Yeah.
which she better definitely win. If they give it to Jennifer Lawrence, who just plays fucking Jennifer Lawrence in every film, break.
I like Jennifer Lawrence, though.
Jennifer Lawrence with a bow. Jennifer Lawrence in Backwoods.
In Backwoods. Jennifer Lawrence in Backwoods.
Jennifer Lawrence dancing. It's like all of her characters are just the same. She just plays them as Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, I guess. I like her. All right, let's. So that's the Golden Globes. Not anything too exciting there, and I have a strong feeling that the Oscars are going to be pretty much the same. Although I don't know. Last year there was a number of surprise Oscar nominations, so maybe they'll do something crazy this year.
We'll see.
I doubt
Do you
it.
think they'll actually pick 10 films?
I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. They could. I mean, they could easily.
They could. I mean, they made that change, and I think they've done it once since then.
It's a mess. It's a complete mess. Let's talk about something a little bit more exciting, and that's the Sundance Film Festival. So the lineup, huge lineup, has been announced, and they included, I think at this point, everything's been announced, even the shorts.
Yeah. Film festivals are getting a bit out of hand, don't you think?
It's
With the number of
insane.
films.
It's insane. Like, I haven't gone through the entire list, so I'm sure that the ones that we're going to highlight here are not the ones that I'm the most excited about or the best in any way. These are just the ones that kind of stuck out to me. First being the new Joe Swanberg, Happy Christmas.
Yeah.
I think that looks really interesting with Anna Kendrick and Lena Dunham is in it, and Joe Swanberg, of course. So I'm interested to see that. What's one that you're kind of into?
I'm very interested in Alex Ross Perry's new film, his follow-up to The Color Wheel, called Listen Up, Philip, which has Elizabeth Moss, Jason Schwartzman, Jonathan Pryce, Kristen Ritter, Caitlin Scheel, and Daniel London in it. I was a big fan of The Color Wheel, so I'm very interested to see what he does, especially given the fact that it seems like he has some budget here. He's got Elizabeth Moss and Jason Schwartzman in there. Plus, it takes place in New York, so very.
I was
interested.
I was also a fan of The Color Wheel, so I'm definitely excited for that. One of the big premieres that I'm excited for, obviously, is The Raid 2.
Yes.
That's going to be premiering
God, yes.
there. I cannot wait for that. The Trip to Italy, which is the Steve Coogan, Rob Brydon sequel. Very excited for that. And I'm also excited for the new David Wayne film. I think it's wait a minute. They Came Together. it's called. It's with Paul Rudd, Ed Helms, Kobe Smulders, Amy Poehler, Christopher Maloney's in it. So I'm definitely into that. And it was written by Michael Showalter and David Wayne. The thing about David Wayne's stuff is I always want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like I keep giving him more chances. Like I haven't been that into his stuff recently. I didn't like The 10 very much. I didn't like Wanderlust very much.
Yeah,
But
he's a hit or miss, but I am extremely excited about the prospect of Michael Shannon being in a comedy.
yeah,
He needs to do that more.
absolutely.
He's very funny. I find him to be hilarious.
Yeah, so I'm very interested in that.
I am as well. Definitely looking forward to that one. Another one that sounds just very odd, that I'm really into is Frank by Lenny Abrahamson, who did his last movie he did was What Richard Did, which I heard good things about. But this has Michael Fassbender, Domhnall Gleeson, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and good old Scoot McNairy.
Mm.
And about a wannabe musician who joins an avant-garde rock band led by Frank, who's played by Michael Fassbender, who hides inside of a large fake head. I don't know like what anything has to do. If you just check, there's like one still photograph from this film, and just seeing him with that giant fake head on, I'm just automatically in. I don't know what the hell this is about. I just want to see Michael Fassbender wearing that giant fake head for like an hour and a half. I'm very intrigued by the prospect of that.
Yeah, I'm definitely into, looking at the list, I'm pretty much excited for everything. Honestly, like it all looks very good to me. God's Pocket is another one that I think could be interesting. That's
is that the Slattery film?
and it's with Philip Seymour Hoffman, Richard Jenkins, Christina Hendricks, and John Turturro, and our buddy Eddie Marsden.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Plus, I like seeing Turturro back.
Absolutely. So that one looks pretty...
Another one, Philip Seymour Hoffman, is Most Wanted Man. Anton Corbin's newest film. The guy did The American, mostly known for his music videos. But I thoroughly enjoyed The American with George Clooney. And this is his adaptation of a John le Carre spy novel, which just seems like a perfect marriage to me. Just his stylings and it set inside the John le Carre spy novel world. I can't wait for this. Plus, it's got Philip Seymour Hoffman, Rachel McAdams, Willem Dafoe, Daniel Bruhl is back, Nina Haas from you might remember her from Barbara, and Grigory Dobrigin, who was actually the main character in a film I just saw a couple weeks ago called How I Ended This Summer. He's a Russian actor. I'm very interested in this. I like his visual style.
Yeah, no, I'm actually interested in a lot of the next lineup series. Like that's the one that has was the one you just mentioned. Listen Up, Philip.
Yeah, the Alex Ross Perry film. Plus, there's
pretty
a new
much
Aaron Katz film. His follow-up to Cold Weather, which I really loved, starring Paul Einhorn, who was in This Is Martin Bonner from this year, and it's brothers-in-laws embarking on a road trip through Iceland. Yes, please.
Yeah, so Sundance, pretty huge lineup. I do want to quickly mention Slam Dance too, because the lineup for Slam Dance has been announced, and I think Slam Dance started off really small, but I think it's pretty quickly growing to be huge. And there were a lot of films that were at Slam Dance last year that I came to really enjoy, like Diamond on Vinyl premiered there. The Dirties, which is probably going to be one of my top 10 of the year, premiered there. And this year there's a bunch that are going to be premiering there for filmmakers that I talked to. Who Took Johnny is one that was featured on our Kickstart Sunday feature. Rover is another one that we interviewed the director of that's going to be premiering there this year. Nice. So there's quite a number of really interesting looking films that are going to be at Slamdance this year too.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at the Slam Dance. That's another thing. There seems to be just entirely too many film festivals.
Oh, there's a ridiculous number of film
There's
festivals.
so many.
There's too many. So there you have it. Very exciting festival season coming up, and we're going to try our best to cover as much of it as we can on the site. I think we can go ahead and move on to predictions.
Let's do it. Let's predict.
Last week, The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug.
Smaug.
You said 88, I said 74. Actual 74.
Dick.
Bam.
Dick.
Tyler Perry's A Medea Christmas. You said 12. I said 45. Actual 20.
Nice.
Saving Mr. Banks. You said 58. I said 72. Actual 81.
Are you kidding
And
me?
American Hustle. You said 84. I said 79. Actual 95.
Nice. I like that.
So, yeah. Next week, we have Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. What are you thinking on this one?
I have no idea. 64.
That's what I was going to pick, actually. I'll say 65.
Alright.
And
But you went 65, I said what, 64?
yeah.
You're an asshole.
Well, I wanted to say 64, but then you said it.
You and your... Oh, man.
You're an asshole. Spike Jones is her. I'm gonna say 94 on that one.
Can I boycott this until I get to see it? Because I'm just really pissed off that it's going to be forever until I get to see it.
Is it not getting a wide release?
No, it's not going to...
Oh no, I think it is getting a wide release, just not till January.
Oh, one of those moves.
Yeah, because
Which even then, it's probably not going to show up.
probably not.
At
I think
my
it's coming out
theaters.
like January 12th or something. We have the date January 10th. Because we have the review up on the site already from when Ernie saw it at AFI, and I put the wide release date on there. So
Which sucks, because it's probably definitely going to be would be on my top 10 of 2013. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I'm not going to get to see it until after I put that list out, so it's unfortunate.
I know it really sucks. We'll have to just add that. What are you thinking on her?
I'm thinking like a 88.
88. Okay. We have Walking with Dinosaurs 3D. I'm not excited about this one at all.
Why would you be? this, this, this looks so stupid.
What are you thinking?
56.
I'll say 58. And that's pretty much it. In limited release next week we have Wrong Cops, which I'm very excited for. The Past.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
I want
Well,
to see The Past.
it's limited release, so you're probably not going to be able to see it.
I want to see Past.
Yeah, it looks good. The Selfish Giant, which
Oh my God,
we
I
have
want to see this movie more than anything.
we have a review for that up on the site, and Joe Swanberg's All the Light in the Sky.
Okay.
Next week on Video on Demand, we have All the Light in the Sky, so we can see that one. Wrong Cops, which we can also see.
All right.
Definitely going to be checking that one out. And one called Watchtower, which I don't know too much about.
Oh, I was hoping you would say Selfish Giant.
I don't think so. DVD and Blu-ray releases for next week. We have Elysium, which I guess it's probably worth a rental. I wasn't too big on it, but it was okay. Lone Ranger, which I never saw, so I can't say too much about that. Heard it was bad.
Yeah. And then I also heard that this, people destroyed it. And then I saw this like little pushback, like small pockets of people,
Yeah.
like going the exact opposite and like just coming out in defense of the Lone Ranger and saying how great of a movie it is.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to check it out when it comes out. Kick-Ass 2, which I thought was horrible. Prisoners, which we both liked a lot. Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters.
Sure.
Probably skip that one.
Sure.
The Family. probably skip that one. Ain't Them Bodies Saints. I would say light recommend on that for me.
I'd say recommend for me. That's the first one so far, but well, outside of Prisoners, and I was like, yeah, that was pretty good.
It was all right. And finally, Ghost Team 1, which I would not recommend.
Oh, but what about Devil's Pass? Weren't you big on that one, Rennie Harlan?
No, I was not big on that one. I would say skip Devil's Pass.
So pretty much, once again, skip everything that's coming out on DVD.
Yeah, pretty much.
It seems like that's all we do every week. We're just like, skip it, skip it, skip it.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of shit out there.
I would just say rent All the Light in the Sky and Wrong Cops on video on demand. Just check those two out.
There you go.
All right. Any other ones that I missed?
No, there's actually no Criterion's coming out until January.
Yeah, it's just the holidays.
Yep,
I think.
they're just taking their holiday break, man.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up. For all the latest film news and reviews, visit us at filmpulse.net. Send us an email at feedback@filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @filmpulse.net, and be sure to rate us on iTunes. We appreciate that very much. For filmpulse.net, my name is Adam.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.
I would never run. Why the fuck would you think that?